Hey everyone, welcome to Stage 3. This is a new show we're going to do called Matinee Talk, where I'll sit and dive down with a couple of guests, talk about movies, favorite movies, what kind of movies they would recommend, things like that. With me today is, of course, our first guest, James.
Hey.
Today we're just going to talk about James's top five favorite films, what movies he liked, what movies resonates with him. So, without further ado, James, give us your list.
So I will say I'm not a movie buff. I enjoy movies.
Of course.
I think I'm okay at critiquing movies. I don't have the high class tastes. And that said, my first movie, and probably like the first one when you said make a top five, it was the first one that came to my list, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze.
Secret of the Ooze? Okay.
The second one,
Okay.
it's the perfect storm of everything I like. Mainly because it's Ninja Turtles. It's probably my most seen movie. I probably watched a movie like more than 100 times.
Okay.
It has Kevin Nash in it as Super Shredder, so it has a wrestler in it as well. It has Vanilla Ice in it for some reason.
Some apparent reason.
But I don't know. It's like the first one was okay, but it was a little like too dramatic, especially as a kid. Like with like Splinter possibly like dying and like everything's way too serious. Like Raphael's like in a coma for like a week in the first one. Second one's a lot more laid back, more fun.
You like the more campy version of
Turtles should be fun, and like I don't need like a super dark serious story all the time.
Okay.
I used to have a Zune back in the day, and I had all four Ninja Turtle movies on my Zune. The first three, and then the Team NT movie, which I still like. I'm not gonna hate on.
That was a good one.
I used to watch it like every day in school. Like I don't care. I love that movie. Could do it line for line. It's so good.
Okay, I respect that. I like Secret of the Ooze. I watched it when I was like 5 or 6, so I still love it.
Yeah.
I would say it is way campier than the first one, so
That's why I love it. Sticking with my theme, my second movie on my list would be Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Classic. I love it.
It's another thing, comic books again.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like I remember I went by myself in the theaters to see that and Expendables back to back. I was in the movie theater for like 6 hours by myself. I just want to see those. Expendables.
Yeah.
But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, it's one of those things where I read the comic coming up, like leading up to the movie, fell in love with it, I bought the game on like Xbox Live, like the arcade, like fighting game.
I was gonna ask if you played it.
Yeah, I played the crap out of it. Soundtrack's good. My Anamanaguchi makes the soundtrack. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the actual movie, I think it was one of those movies that was perfectly cast. And if you go back, you'll look and you're like, oh crap, Chris Evans is in this movie.
No, so literally, I was watching Scott Pilgrim vs. the World about 2 or 3 days ago, and I was like, oh, I forgot Anna Kendrick's in this.
Anna Kendrick and Stacey Pilgrim.
Winstead is in here. I was like, okay.
Brie Larson, you have Captain America and Captain Marvel both
all
in
the same movie. I was like, all right, I'll take it.
It's one of those things where I loved it. It was. I remember like I kept up with like all like the filmmaking and everything when they were doing it. Edgar Wright. And like they actually had Brian Lee O'Malley, the writer, on set and everything, and like they were actually kind of doing it as he was finishing up the comic.
Yep.
I love that freaking movie, and I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, Scott's good. No, Scott's a douchebag, but that's kind of the point.
He is an asshole.
He's not like the actual hero, but I love that movie.
He's just an asshole fighting other assholes. That's all it is.
But sticking with the whole comic book theme that I tend to have going. I did want to pick one like animated movie from the DCU, DC animated universe, I should say. The one I chose, I was gonna go with The Dark Knight Returns, but that's technically two movies.
Yeah.
So instead, I went with Justice League Crisis on Two Earths.
Okay.
Just because I love the multiverse thing in comic books and seeing, I think they're still called the Crime Syndicate in that.
Yeah, it's still the Crime Syndicate.
And I just love the whole mirror universe. I don't know. It's such like a cheesy trope of like everyone's the same in this universe except they're evil or good if they're already evil, and like
right, just like how Owlman is a very, very darker version
of Batman. And you have what's the guy, James Woods voicing him. James Woods, don't like the guy, but good voice actor for Owlman. That movie, it's not like it's some kind of masterpiece or anything,
but it's a very good entertaining movie.
Yeah,
I would put it in one of for the DCAU. I'll put it probably in my top 10, top 15.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good movie.
Because I was trying to think of something that's kind of just like a standalone.
Yeah.
Because like I was gonna go with like Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, which is in the whole Batman the Animated Series kind of universe, but I was like, I just want something that's kind of on its own.
Makes sense.
And that's the one that I don't. The more characters you put into those type of things, the more I can see, and I fall in love with every time.
Okay.
Switching gears though, my other two aren't comic book related, but they are still very much in my wheelhouse. The fourth movie would be The Wrestler.
Really?
Yeah. The Wrestler would be one of my. It's one of the things where I kind of thought about it afterwards, and I was literally I made the list and I took the movie off to add The Wrestler like in the last minute.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's because one of those things like when people talk about wrestling, and like especially as someone who doesn't really watch, like, oh, it's stupid. I'm like, no, like those guys really get messed up. Like those guys, like there's a reason their like backs are torn up and everything because they actually get hurt.
And I hate to say it, and this is another thing. That's why The Wrestler kind of hit home for me, because I knew, even though it's technically not real.
Yeah, it's fake
real
story,
for the actors.
Yeah.
It's real for the wrestlers, right? And it kind of hit home for me because after the movie came out in like 2010, 2011, and I was still grasping the idea that Chris Benoit, did his, like, died, right? And I watched it, and, like, especially the ending, I was just like,
yeah, you're like, oh, he, like, it's one of those things where, not spoiled, but, like, the main character may or may not die. You don't know. But
right. But the way it ended, you're just like,
it's crazy because they're, like, kind of like modern day warriors in a way. Where like,
yeah.
like, hey, you're not supposed to go out here and wrestle. Similar to like how football players are like, hey, you're injured, you're not supposed to do this, and they're like, no, but I need to.
Yeah. I need to do it, not just for me, but for my fans as well.
Yeah.
And do it for my reclamation. And yeah, that was, I'll honestly say
that's like my highest, like, as far as my list, that's like my most critically acclaimed movie. Everything else is kind of just garbage I like. But that movie, like, it even has real wrestlers in it, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Like, you see like Cesaro and R-Truth and all these guys in there. I'm like, oh, I know these guys. And it's like, it's kind of a dark movie, and it's like there's no happy points in it. No, it's all kind of sad throughout.
Sad. It's all sad, and there's maybe one or two highlighted points, but the entire film is literally sad. It's sad.
Like just a washed up wrestler who's used to be a legend, who's now like just a butcher in like a grocery store,
basically,
but who like lies about who he is because he doesn't want people.
Want people to know who he is. Exactly.
It's
a very tragic story.
It's really, really good though. And my last movie on my list, very similar vein, Rocky IV.
Okay.
I will often debate with my friends who love Rocky 3 because Eye of the Tiger and everything. I'm like, no, it's all about Hearts on Fire with Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Defeating Russia, winning the Cold War for America. I mean, here's the thing. Like, obviously, with the Rocky franchise, 1 and 2 are kind of one big movie. Yeah. 3 is really important because it shows the friendship between him and Apollo.
Yeah.
Which obviously set up for the Creed movies now. But then obviously Rocky IV is really important because it's immediately the one they went to after introducing Creed.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does have a lot of like cheesy musical montages. It's super like 80s.
There's more cheesy montages in that one than there's probably in the entire franchise.
Yeah, it's so good.
Most of them are good. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah,
I like them.
Like, I don't know, and the thing is, like, it could have ended there and like. Skip Rocky 5 and you go to Rocky Balboa. Still a really good movie. Almost made the list over Rocky 4 just because I think Rocky Balboa is a better movie as far as cinema goes.
It is. I would say so.
Yeah, because like Balboa has like dramatic scenes and like good storytelling. Rocky 4 just like, my friend died after listening
and
to.
I have to avenge him and basically save the Cold War. Yeah,
it's a very basic plot. Before, I don't know, I used to have a Rocky 4 poster in my room when I lived in Pittsburgh. Like, I love that movie.
It's a very good movie. I would say out of all of those, I put Rocky Balboa, Rocky 4, Rocky 3, Rocky 2 for the original franchise.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I think it was a good movie. I think it's underrated most of the time. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, I think it's weird that he basically saved the Cold War from fighting a guy from Russia, but nonetheless, there was some good montages. Good, it was a smoothie there. Yeah. It's a good movie in there. So.
And in the message at the end, I don't really understand it because he's like, if I can change, you can change. We can all change. I'm like, what did you change? I don't know. After thinking about it, I'm like,
Cold War.
I guess, but he didn't like change personally. I don't know. But that'd be my top 5. So I mean, not like so nothing basic or nothing spectacular. All kind of like movies that I think are fun, enjoyable movies that if they're on, I'm gonna watch no matter
You're gonna watch
what.
them regardless. Yeah. And see, that's why my top 5 is gonna be something completely different, which that'll be another.
You're gonna have
episode
like
also.
billboards and stuff like this is why this movie breaks down into
No,
a
see,
great
I'm not
piece
gonna.
of
See, I'm gonna try to make it as simplistic as possible whenever I do decide to do my top 5. I'm gonna make it simplistic. It's just a lot of my movies are gonna be movies that you're like, really, you're a snob. I'm like, I'm not a snob. It's just this had a moment for me,
Yeah,
right? And that's why
sure.
I put those on the 5. Exactly. See, so anyway, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
James.
man. That's
I
my top
appreciate it.
5. There's a nice little screen grab for you so we can use it as a thumbnail.
He's using himself as a thumbnail.
Yeah.
Other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in. You can put in your comments, what's your favorite 5 movies of all time? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't. I will be doing more matinee talks. It won't be just doing top 5s. I will be doing recommendations for Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that stuff throughout the channel. But from all of us at Stage 3, thanks for tuning in.